Half the Battle is back. It's me, Daniel Levi, your host. We're going to be talking UFC 204, Bisping versus Henderson. This is the 100th episode of Half the Battle, so thank you everybody for sticking with me for 100 episodes. And for all the new fans, thank you too. Joining me to break down UFC 204, we got the Texecutioner in the house, James Vick, and the MMA Handicapper of the Year, Sean Carey. And in about 10 minutes, we'll be joined by UFC Bantamweight, Albert Morales. James Vick, welcome to Half the Battle, bro.
What's up, man? I'm glad to be back. I appreciate you having me on for the 100th episode. And I know I was the first, I believe I was the first UFC fighter you had on the show, so it's an honor to come back always.
Absolutely, man. It's great to have you back on the show. We got a lot to talk about. We got the MMA Handicapper of the Year, Sean Carey, in the house. Sean, welcome back to the show, bro.
Oh, I'm glad to be here, Daniel. Always fun.
Absolutely, man. I know you got some strong positions tonight, so I can't wait to talk about these fights. And first up, you
can say that.
In the lightweight division, we got Adriano Martins. He's minus 220, and the comeback on Leo Santos is plus 180. Now, both these guys are jiu-jitsu world champions, and both of them are vets, man. I mean, Leo Santos has been fighting since back in, I believe, the Pride days. I think he fought Takanori Gomi back in the day, and man, I mean, he's really come a long way. He's still fresh. You know, that last fight against Kevin Lee, he really surprised me, man, because, you know, we always knew he had great jiu-jitsu abilities, but now, you know, he established his jab. He had a blast double in there. He took the back of Kevin Lee, and then he knocked him out in the first round. So I was very impressed with Leo Santos in his last fight. But I got to tell you, man, Adriano Martins is no slouch at all. You know, he's a good southpaw. His counter right hook is the nastiest thing I've ever seen in my life, and he slept a couple people in the UFC with it. He gets you to extend, and then he bangs that right hook, and he puts people down. And man, if they grapple, it's obviously going to be interesting, but I think Adriano has a significant advantage on the feet, and I think that's going to aid him to victory here. Even though the line could be a little bit closer, I have to agree with the odds makers, and I got Adriano Martins. James Vick, who you got, man?
Yeah, and I have Martins as well. I think it's he's so big and strong for the division, and it's he's hard to deal with, man. He's got a good right hook, as you was talking about, which a lot of southpaws don't have that weapon, and he does, and he's so versatile. Big, strong guy, great wrestling. I mean, he fought what's his name, Rustov, the Sambo Russian guy. You know, took him down a couple of times, I believe, when they fought. So he can take down a lot of good people, has a good offensive wrestling game, really good heavy hands and counter shots, and just really, I think the only way that a lot of people could beat him is if they outworked him on the feet. If they stuff the takedowns and they just outworked him volume-wise, and I don't see Leo Santos doing that. So, yeah, I'm going with Martins for sure.
Even in his only setback, I mean, he was doing really good against Cerrone, and he got caught with that head kick out of nowhere, which would have put anyone down. But, man, I thought he put up a valiant effort up until that point. Sean, you got Adriano Martins or Leo Santos?
Oh, it's tough. I think I've got Martins. Here's the thing, like, you know, semi-unrelated, but 2 fights ago I saw Mousasi kind of turn a corner. He came out confident, like he was definitely not going to lose the fight. More aggressive, very accurate, and honestly, I saw the same kind of thing from Leo Santos. Did he turn a corner in that last fight? Is this a different guy? Is he's finally putting it all together? You can't really look at one fight and assume that, but we've seen things like that happen. If you take their previous fights up till this point, Martins is a better fighter. Martins is everything that James just said as well. He is huge. He does have a great counter right hook. He's powerful. He's got good timing. He's the overall better guy. I think the wrestling cancels each other out. But if Leo Santos is peaking and this is a different guy, then this is a super close fight. And we know that Martins can be stopped. So it's interesting. I'm not a fan of that price. But, yeah, I'll pick Martins.
Yeah, and it should be mentioned that, you know, it's been a long time since Leo Santos has faced defeat, but at the same time, you know, a lot of people thought he did drop that fight to Norman Park. You know, there was a point deduction due to a short grab, but like you said, Sean, now he could be entering his peak. So I'm very curious to see who looks better on Saturday night. And next up, in the welterweight division, we got Danny Hot Chocolate Roberts. He's minus 130, and the comeback on Mike Platinum Perry is plus 110. Now, I saw Danny Hot Chocolate fight at UFC 197, and he got the fight of the night. And the kid's a stud, man. You know, he's from the UK, and in his UFC debut, he got taken down by a D1 wrestler, and he tapped him out with a triangle choke. That, to me, was very, very impressive. The biggest knock on Danny Hot Chocolate, in my opinion, is he is a bit of a slow starter, and with Mike Platinum Perry, the guy's got serious knockout power. I believe the three of us called Perry's last fight against Hyung Yu Lim. All of us picked Hyung Yu Lim, and then Perry went out there and knocked him out in the first round. So this guy can bang. You know, it's funny. Perry kind of reminds me of like a redneck version of Tyron Woodley. You know, he's short, he's stocky, he's compact, and he can knock dudes out. But, you know, I don't know how his cardio is past the first round. So I think that if Danny Hot Chocolate gets settled into the fight, he can take over here. But he's got to be very wary in the first 2 minutes. James Vick, what do you think, man? Danny Hot Chocolate or Mike Perry?
Yeah, I don't really know a lot about either one of these guys. I've only seen both of them fight one time each, but I'm going to go with Danny. I don't really, like I said, I don't know a lot about Perry, and I didn't feel like I've seen enough. I felt like he caught him and landed a good shot. And like you said, I mean, for Danny's a triangle, a D1 wrestler is a serious feat in the UFC, because a lot of these wrestlers, you know, really all you need for a D1 wrestler, all a lot of these D1 wrestlers need is about a high blue belt, lower purple belt for jiu-jitsu. Not for black belts. The majority of black belt submissions just stifle them and survive and win on the ground, if they're on top. And that was impressive for him to do that. And you know, I just don't know enough about these guys, so I'm gonna have to go with the favorite.
Sean Carey, who you got, bro?
Yeah, I'm gonna take Roberts. I don't think very much of Perry before the Lim fight. When you go through and study him, he's a real hittable guy. He doesn't look to have a great gas tank. And he gets stunned by the majority of shots that hit him clean. He gets dropped a lot, too. He just didn't get hit by Lim in that fight. I almost bet Lim inside the distance. I took just fight doesn't go the distance instead, so that worked out well. But, you know, Perry has not shown me anything. He can punch hard. He's the one who landed first in that fight. Good for him. He won that cleanly. But now he's fighting a definitely more well-rounded guy. Roberts is definitely the better striker, and on the ground he's dangerous. Sub-wise, I don't trust Perry. I don't trust Perry's camp. I don't trust Perry's cardio. If he doesn't go out there and get a quick knockout, he's in trouble. I think he'll get exploited down the stretch and eventually knocked out by Roberts.
Yeah, and we're going to mix up the order a little bit because I want Albert Morales to talk about some of these bantamweight fights. It's in his division. So we'll go to the heavyweight division now. We got the tallest man in the heavyweight division, Stefan Struve. He's minus 175, and he's taking on Daniel Omelanczuk, who's plus 155. And Daniel's coming in on short notice. Initially, it was supposed to be our boy Ruslan Magomedov, but you know if he had to pull out of this fight, it must have been serious. So, man, Stefan Struve, you know, for the longest time, we've been wanting him to use his range, use his reach, and I think finally he's doing it in some of his fights. You know, that fight with Nogueira, he used his range. The fight with Bigfoot, he knocked him out right away. So, I mean, this fight, Danny Omelanczuk, he's got a good chin, man. He's never been put down in the UFC, but then again, there is a first for everything. He's a durable guy, but he's got a suspect gas tank. So what I'm thinking is that if Struve goes out there and establishes that range, which he should do, I think he can drop him maybe with a nice knee and then take his back and choke him out in the second round. So I'm going to go with Stefan Struve here, but obviously not a confident pick because, you know, would you be that surprised if Stefan let us down again? So, James, I mean, who you got, bro? Struve or Omelanczuk?
No, I'm going with Struve. I think he's fought the way high, so much more high caliber of guys, and he's a veteran, and he has a lot of not just MMA experience. You know, he has a lot of UFC experience. He's had several fights inside there, and he's so big, and like you said, he does let us down from time to time, but I think this is a good matchup for him for sure. And he's had a full camp. He's fresh. He didn't take the fight on short notice, so like the other guy has. So I think he's good to go. Sean Carey?
Yeah, this is a tough one, too, because anybody can get to Struve. He's got that tall guy defense. No offense, James. Not all tall guys have bad defense. But short gas tank, or, you know, no full camp, short notice, bad gas tank. That's a recipe for disaster. I think the thing about Struve is, the knock on him is he can't use his range, and he should use his range. And then we've been seeing him use his range a little bit more and start to understand it Didn't really have a chance to show us much in the Bigfoot fight. That's because he was clobbering Bigfoot. I think that Struve can keep his distance, stay out of trouble, not get knocked out long enough for Danny O's gas tank to disappear, and then it's all Struve from that point forward. You know, overs in this fight and the fight going the distance is definitely interesting.
For sure. And I'm adding Albert Morales now. Albert Morales, what's up, man? It's Daniel from Half the Battle.
What's up, brother? How you guys doing?
Doing awesome. It's me, James Vick, and Sean Carey.
What's up, guys?
How you doing, man? How you doing, buddy?
Doing all right, man. Just chilling outside of In-N-Out, just staring at all these guys eating. Killing.
There you go, man. Well, dude, we got to talk about Mirsad Bektic. He's minus 800, and he's taking on Russell Doane, who's plus 550. Now, Russell Doane, I mean, this guy's a total badass. He's a bantamweight moving up to featherweight on less than a week's short notice to take this fight. So, much respect to him. And Mirsad Bektic, you know, he is a minus 800 favorite. The number is a bit wide, but the reason is because, I mean, this kid's no slouch at all. You know, his last fight against Lucas Martins, granted it was last May, I mean, he showed signs of, you know, that blast double. It reminded me of GSP a little bit. You know, he's always had great grappling. He had a really good fight with our boy Chas Skelly, which, you know, Chas Skelly knocked him out in the second round, but it was an illegal knee, so the ref let Mirsad recover. And then Mirsad, after being knocked out in the second round, actually went on to take down Chas Skelly in the last round and win the majority decision. So that's the kind of heart we're dealing with Bektic. And Russell Doane is a stud, too. His last fight with Pedro Munoz, even though he got tapped out in the first round, man, he was busting up Pedro Munoz with those kicks the entire time. And then, you know, that guillotine, it's no fault to Russell Doane. I mean, it was more credit to Pedro Munoz because you don't really train for those setups. It was just an unbelievable move. And in this spot, man, I think Mirsad Bektic is going to be too physical for him. I think he's going to take him down. And I think at some point within the late first, early second, he's going to pound him out. But once again, man, much respect to Russell Doane. I played the under 2.5 at plus 125 in the spot. Now, Albert, man, you know, Russell Doane's in your division, but he's moving up to 145 on less than a week's short notice to fight Mirsad Bektic. You think it's going to go well for him?
I hope so he can stay out of my division. No, I really don't. I don't know. I think it'll be too much for him. Not only is he moving up, but he's fighting one hell of a fighter. Russell's dope, man. Russell's really tough. We share the same management. That doesn't mean anything. That doesn't mean I'm going for him or anything like that. I'm just rooting for him. I hope he does well going up to 45. But yeah, I remember that fight with Pedro Munoz. He was beating the crap out of Pedro Munoz, in my opinion. You know, Pedro's actually a good friend of mine too. One of the only guys I'm cool with in my division. But and I'll fight that guy too. But Russell Doane was actually winning that fight and just got caught slipping, man, with a dude. I remember when that happened, man. It was I've never seen anybody jump a guillotine from the back. So I know it wasn't exactly. I know there's a move they call it, but dude, from what I saw, was a dude jumping from the back to a guillotine. So I've never heard of anybody going from back to front. So that was pretty cool. So I definitely don't see Russell coming up on top, but I'm rooting for him. I wouldn't put my money on it.
Yeah, I mean, I put my money on the under. Now, James Vick, I mean, the last time Mirsad fought, it was a while ago. He had an ACL surgery since then, but he took the proper amount of time off, and word on the street is that he's looking better than ever. So you think he's going to come back looking as good as, if not better, than his last performance, James?
I'm not sure he's going to look that good. I mean, ring rust does exist, whether fighters want to admit it or not. You can shake it off and do very well with it and still perform, but to a degree, it does exist. I mean, obviously, it doesn't mean he's not going to win, though, and I'm definitely picking him to win. I mean, Russell Doane's moving up with a whole weight class and taking the fight on a week notice. I just think it's a big mountain for him to climb, and I just don't see him winning, honestly.
Sean Carey?
Yeah, dude, and
Go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just going to say, and you know, it almost seems kind of like a desperate move for him because, you know, it's 3 back-to-back losses and then coming up to 45, man. That's a lot of pressure to put on your back, dude. But, you know, more props to him.
Yeah, I like Bektic too. I would love to see him move into the role that we've kind of thought up for him. But as of right now, that's a projection by us, and he hasn't really been that guy. Injury plays a part in that too, but he seems to have all the talent, but I don't know what we really know. I know that we do know that a long layoff versus a super aggressive guy is usually a bad combo and can make for a pretty sweaty situation. Like Albert just said, 3 fights, 3 losses, back against the wall, super aggressive in that last fight. If he comes out super aggressive, looking like he did in that last fight against a rusty Bektic who isn't ready to jump immediately into the fire, it could be a tough first round for Bektic, and who knows. I know that price is way, way, way overboard, He's definitely better. He's definitely better than Doane moving up and on short notice too. I get it, but man, you got to watch those first 3 minutes in this situation right here, because he's going to come out firing. And if Bektic wants to take it slow and be comfortable, he's not going to get a chance, and who knows what that turns into. But, Bektic should win, but that's a dangerous one.
Yeah, and I mean, if you're doing parlays, minus 800 doesn't really add much value to it, so you got to look elsewhere. That's what I did, so I'm hoping someone gets finished in under 2.5, because you got one guy with the ring rust. He's going to most likely gas out at some point, and then the other guy, who knows what kind of shape he was in, because, I mean, me and Russell, he was on my show 2 weeks ago, and we were talking about Hawaiian cuisine, so I don't know what kind of shape either guy's in, man, but I'm pumped for the fight regardless. Next up in the welterweight division, Albert Tumenov is minus 265, and Leon Edwards is plus 225. I love this fight, man. Striker versus striker, and Albert.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, Albert Tumenov's no slouch at all. I know he gets a lot of slack for his last fight against Gunny Nelson, but listen, man, prior to that fight, we were all calling for Gunnar to drop to 155. Then all of a sudden, he looks like a welterweight in his last fight. He's been spending a little bit of time with Conor McGregor's strength and conditioning coach, if you know what I mean. So I don't fault Albert for losing that fight at all. But in this spot, man, striker versus striker, Leon Edwards he's a surgical striker. He's one of these guys that he's really good at the hand fighting, the touch and go, the slip and rip. He changes stances a lot. He's really good with his range. The guys that have given him problems are the guys that grapple him. And interestingly enough, with Albert Tumenov, whenever he has had a striker versus striker matchup, aside from the Juban fight, which we know Juban is known for his slow starts, think about the fight with Mousasi and the fight with Larkin. Those were razor close fights. So if Leon's been watching the film, maybe he could make it be a close decision here. But I do think the forward pressure of Albert Tumenov and the combinations, when a guy likes to keep his range and be pretty, you got to get up in his face and throw a lot of combinations. Now, James, I know that you don't often pick against Russians, and I'm assuming you're keeping that trend going here.
Yeah, it's hard to pick against them. I mean, they have a history. Majority of them do have a history of winning. I mean, but they're tough motherfuckers. They win. I mean, they really do. And they're trained that way. It's most of these guys have been training in combat sports since they were kids, and he's no different. I think I believe he was a boxing champion in the military or something like that.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty high on him. I was surprised Gunnar Nelson was able to just keep him down and work him like that. I mean, Gunnar Nelson's obviously a very high level grappler, with also really good wrestling for a jiu-jitsu guy as well. But that surprised me a little bit. But I'm pretty high on him, on Tumenov. I think he's pretty good. Obviously, he had holes in his game that got exposed. But with another striker, I think he has a great chance with any strikers at 170 if they're willing to stand with them. And I mean, like you said, the Larkin fight was very close, and it could have went to Larkin. And I think that was more of an athletic thing than a technical thing. I think Tumenov was more technically sound. He just wasn't the athlete Larkin is, which no one in that division is the athlete Larkin is. So I'm going with him, obviously. Of course, I'm going with him for sure.
Sean Carey?
Yeah, I like Tumenov in this spot. And Edwards is good. And let's go ahead and call this striker versus striker. But it would not shock me if Edwards tried to work some takedowns here. The problem with this is that Edwards does not have enough volume to get Tumenov's respect early enough. Once Tumenov sees that he can come forward with not a lot coming back at him, he's going to start thinking. He's going to start setting things up. Then all of a sudden it's left hook to the body, right straight to the head, left high kick. Those 3-punch combinations that he wheels off, always anchored with that body shot. He throws mean ones. That's only going to make Edwards think of where to cover up. And then all of a sudden you've got this angry Russian coming at you, sizing you up, hitting you with accurate combos. That's not a good look for Edwards. If Edwards had more volume and was more aggressive, this would be a closer fight. I don't think it's going to be close. I think Tumenov is going to steamroll him, knock him out late first, early second.
Albert?
Yeah, same here. Tumenov is just going to be too much for him. Like, we all know, like, Leon Edwards is definitely an athletic guy. He's probably going to be more athletic than Tumenov, but he's not as athletic as Lorenz Larkin or anything like that. So it's nothing that Tumenov hasn't faced yet. And I just think the forward pressure, the different strikes, and I just think he's going to hit harder than him. He's going to hurt Edwards early. Edwards is going to shoot for a takedown, get stuffed and get smashed. It might be fun for like the first couple minutes. We'll see a little bit of playing around or something like that. But as soon as Albert starts putting that pressure on, I think he's going to fold.
Next up, the bantamweight division. We got Rob Font. He's minus 325, and the comeback on Ian Entwistle is plus 265. Now, I mean, Ian Entwistle, he's one of these leg lock guys, and we all know the deal with the leg lock guys. It's either they get the leg lock or they quit. And I'm not talking about, someone who has leg lock attacks in their arsenal. I'm talking about the guys that are strictly leg lock guys. I mean, you guys know them in the gym. If they don't get that leg lock, they get super discouraged. Now with Ian Entwistle, he's never been past the first round, not just in his UFC career, in his MMA career. It literally is first round leg lock or bust. So, I mean, Rob Font, he's a rangy striker for the division. He can knock dudes out. He went the distance with John Lineker, which is impressive. He's a good fighter, man. And I've been high on him for a while. So, I mean, I think he avoids the leg lock, and I think he knocks out Entwistle in the first round. But if he doesn't, he'll get tapped in the first round. So, for me, I'm taking a look at that under 1.5. I know it's minus 210, but I think that's the perfect parlay leg for this fight because I don't think it's going past the first round. Now, Albert, I mean, this is your weight class, man. And it's funny because Ian Entwistle has something in common with you. His last fight, he fought Alejandro Perez. Your last fight, you fought Alejandro Perez. The only difference is Ian got knocked out in the first round, and you beat him by decision, in my opinion. So who you got, man, Rob Font or Ian Entwistle?
I hate picking my division. I got Ian just for the fact that I think he'll catch him in the first. Rob's, I don't know. I don't think too highly of Rob either, man. I don't think too highly of anybody in the division. So it's kind of hard asking me about him weight. But yeah, he is definitely a lanky fighter. But I think that also gives Ian a bigger target to reach. And especially with the leg lock game, I'm pretty sure he's been working some. I think it's crap that's all he has. It's kind of weird that he's in the UFC just based off that. I understand he finishes people, but come on, man. Nobody wants to see that. Nobody really cares about that. Nobody really understands that. Like fans, we do, but I'm not too big on it because as soon as I stuff that, I'm gonna smash you in the face. So hopefully Rob can do it, man. But I don't see it happening. I don't think Rob's gonna have enough. Well, the thing is, all he has to do is defend it. So I don't know. I still got Ian in the first.
Interesting, man. I didn't expect that. James Vick, man, who you got, Rob Font or Ian Entwistle?
I'm going with Rob Font. I agree with what he was just saying. It's ridiculous. A dude's in the UFC and he only has one move. But, I mean, there's just certain moves like that. Leg locks are one of them. If you don't know how to defend them, you're going to get caught every time in them. And you're forced to tap or it's the other option is blow your ACL out and have surgery and be out for a year or two. But, remember when Conor McGregor said that about Ryan Hall on the Ultimate Fighter? He said this dude's a specialist, and in my opinion, specialist just means he sucks at everything else. And I agree I agree with that statement. I don't know this guy we're talking about. I've never even seen him fight, but if just going off of what you said, I have seen Rob fight a couple of times. Going off what you said, if that's really what all he has is that's the majority of his first round finishes by leg lock, then it's possible because Rob Font, he is a tall, thin guy for the division, so he does have the smaller probably bone structure, so probably easier to catch in leg locks and stuff like that. But surely, if he's had adequate time for a camp and stuff, they've addressed that, and hopefully he can. But I think that I'm going to go with him just on the fact that I know him better and I've seen him fight a few times as well.
Yeah, and you brought up the fact that, has he been addressing that in training camp? And that's a great point, and he has, because he brought in Joe Lozon, who's a fellow Bostonian, and we know Joe Lozon is good with his jiu-jitsu for MMA. So I think that's the perfect guy to train with for this fight. Sean Carey, the tale of Ian Entwistle, like we said, man, he either gets that leg lock or he quits. Which one's it going to be?
Yeah, it's going to be quit. You know what? I like leg lock stuff. I like leg lock guys. It's like a weird, exotic, sudden way to finish a fight where it looks like he doesn't have it, then all of a sudden he's got it and it's over. And you know what? Ian Entwistle, if you don't get it, you don't start crying to the ref that the guy is greased. You don't just hold on to it with both hands and let the guy pound you in the face forever until the ref stops it. That was definitely a quit job his last time out. And like these two guys said, like, you can't just only have that. That doesn't make any fucking sense to just have the one thing. You know, like I said, they're exotic, but that was once upon a time. Now it's a hot thing in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. People are into it. People know it. People know how to get out of it. It's over. It's not a surprise attack anymore. These guys are defending those. And if that's all you got, you're fucked. And on top of that, Rob Font is pretty damn agile. He's very fleet of foot. He's got good footwork. When Entwistle pulls Font down on him or rolls for that or goes for that, however he ends up going for that, he's not going to be there. He's going to limp leg out of it. He's going to get out. And Entwistle will quit on himself or get hit and turtle up and wait for the ref to quit for him. I don't like Entwistle. I think he needs to be done after he loses this fight. Font, knockout, first round.
Also, in the bantamweight division, we got Yuri Alcantara. He's minus 165, and Brad Pickett is plus 145. Now, full disclosure, I am a hardcore Yuri Alcantara fan. I mean, this guy is a total badass. I mean, I remember back in the day, he beat Francisco Trinaldo. He knocked out Ricardo Lamas. He beat Felipe Aranches, and this was back in the day, man. And yeah, this dude's super fun to watch. You know, he's big for the weight class. He's about 5'9". And, I mean, the flying knees, his front kick. The biggest issue with Yuri is that sometimes when he gets taken down, he kind of acts like he doesn't know how to get up. And I know damn well this guy knows how to get up because in other of his fights, he's sweeping dudes. I've seen him go with that Kimura sweep before. I've even seen him tap dudes out with triangle chokes. And more importantly, I've seen him knock people out, including the last time he went to Europe when he knocked out Von Lee in 25 seconds. Now, Brad Pickett, obviously, he's a legend. I mean, how can you not love Brad Pickett? He comes to bang every single time. The biggest advantage Brad Pickett has in this fight, in my opinion, is the wrestling. And it's funny to say that about a Brad Pickett fight because you know him as the guy that stands and bangs, but you recall his last fight against Cisco Rivera. And, you know, the first round, Cisco drops him, and we all know with Cisco, it's not that big of a deal if he drops you because he's going to help you back up and high five and hug you. So that's why I always bet. That's why I always bet against Cisco. But yeah, so in that fight, that's what happened. And then the next two rounds, Brad was able to get him down and win 2 of the 3 rounds. Now, I hear a lot of people's analysis of this fight, and they're basically saying Yuri's going to win the first round, second round's going to be close, and then Brad's going to win the third round. To me, that just sounds like they're replaying the Francisco Rivera fight in their heads, and they're just scripting that for this fight. I think this is a completely different fight. And believe it or not, I actually think Yuri's going to get Brad Pickett out of there, and I think he's going to do it relatively early. I think he's going to rush him with a big combo, maybe a flying knee, a big right hand, a big straight left, and I think he's going to put him down in the first round in England. And much respect to Pickett, but I think Yuri's going to get this done, man. So, James, who you got, man? Yuri Alcantara or Brad Pickett?
Yeah, I'm going with Yuri as well. I think he's his southpaw style is he's real slick. He is a southpaw, right? We're talking about the same guy, right?
Yep.
Okay, yeah, and he's the one who recently lost the dude who just beat Faber, right?
Yeah, Jimmy Rivera.
Yeah, he lost. Okay, yeah. Like I said, I think that he don't take the damage Pickett has. Pickett's been in a lot of wars, and I mean, you can only go through so many. And he's not getting any younger, and he's an old man in a young division, with where speed really matters. And like you said, I agree with you when you say that his best advantage in this fight would be his wrestling, because sometimes Yuri gets held, like you said, he gets held down and he just don't get the hell up. He just like lays down on his back. But I think that his southpaw style, he has good inside leg kicks, good body kicks, good hands as well. And I think that he's going to win the fights. Either he's going to catch him and finish him, or he's going to win the decision. I just think that Pickett's. I mean, I hate to be a hater, but I think he's on his way out. I think he's just taking too much damage, and the clock's ticking for him.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Now, Albert, I know you'll fight anyone in your weight class, including these two, but I know you got to respect these two guys. I mean, they're somewhat pioneers for the bantamweight division.
Definitely, and you know it's funny. Both these guys. I'm so stoked for this fight. I can finally say that about a bantamweight fight because these are guys that I looked up to growing up. I would love to fight either one of them just to say I did it. It'd be awesome to fight with guys. With all respect, no trash talking any of that. I'm with you. I think it's gonna finish in the first round. But I actually think Pickett might take him out in the first round. I think it's gonna start off really crazy, and Pickett's gonna hit him with that one punch. Especially being at home, I think he's gonna come with a little bit more fire. But I also agree with you at the same time because this is a scenario that I put in my head was I think Alcantara was going to come in with a flying knee or hit him something straight down the middle and put him to sleep. And me and my dad were actually talking about this a couple of days ago. Brad Pickett is, it just kind of sucks that we do think he's on his way out, man. He just came at the wrong time of his career. He's been through a lot of battles, man. Took a lot of hits, and that does take a toll on you. But I'm rooting for Brad Pickett. He's always been one of my favorites, and I hope he gets that one punch in the first.
Albert, if you had to pick one of them to fight, who would it be, man?
Oh, that's such a good one, dude.
Pickett.
Pickett would be cool because I think I'd be able to finish him a little bit faster. But I think Iuri would be a more of an exciting fight because I think with Pickett it would be a first round, and if he survives the first, I think I'd be able to finish him off somewhere down the second. But Iuri, man, we'll fight 3 rounds, and Iuri keeps coming. And like you said, his ground game, it's not. His ground game's dope, bro. Like he's always shooting up stuff when he wants to. So I don't know, he's a beast, man. They're both legends. I would love to fight both of them. I think Iuri would probably be more realistic at this point. I wouldn't be surprised if Pickett, hopefully he'd retire after this fight. That'd be cool to win and retire at home.
Definitely. Now, Yuri's actually been putting in work at Greg Jackson's for this camp, so we'll see how that pays off on fight night. Sean Carey, Brad Pickett or Iuri Alcantara?
Oh, tough fight, man. We've been talking about this one, Daniel. Alcantara at his most dangerous is very dangerous. Alcantara at his worst is a guy who likes to take breaks. I don't think he's down there not knowing how to get up or acting like he doesn't know how to get up. He's down there taking a break. He is huge for this weight class. That could have something to do with it. This first round is going to be fiery for sure. He's going to come forward. He's going to be throwing shots. So will Pickett. Pickett is so tough, though. And if he survives this first round without getting 10-8'd, like you said, like you were talking about, Daniel, the second round is close, and then Alcantara is looking to take breaks in the third, you're going to lose the decision in England. I think that's how this is going to go. I think it's going to be competitive, even though either guy could get to the other guy and get rid of him. I think that Pickett survives early, keeps it close in the second, possibly pulls that off, and then does pull off the third, gets a split decision in England.
OSP versus Jimi Manuwa. OSP is minus 155, and Jimi Manuwa is plus 135. Now, OSP, man, I'm a big fan of him too. He kind of reminds me of the Alex Cowboy of the light heavyweight division, or you can say Alex Cowboy reminds me of the OSP of the lightweight division. But regardless, I see a lot of similarities in both their styles. They're both big for the weight class. They're athletic. They're unorthodox. Sometimes it can look a little bit ugly when they fight, but they're super effective, and they know how to get it done, especially in spots like this. When they go up against a top 5 guy, that's when they've stumbled in the past. But in a spot like this, I think OSP can take it. Now, I got a lot of respect for Jimi Manuwa. He's a very clean striker. When it comes to just pure striking, he's definitely the cleaner guy, the crisper guy, maybe even the faster guy. But the biggest issue that I've noticed with Manuwa is when it comes to, rounding out that full MMA game. I've only seen him, have success in the striking department. Sometimes he busts dudes up in the clinch, but it seems like, and this is a credit to him, a lot of his wins have come from his opponents getting injured. Now, I'm not going to discredit that at all because, just like Alex Cowboy injuring Will Brooks last week, if you hit someone in the right spot and their rib breaks, it is what it is, man. That's part of the fight, right? Jimmy's definitely gotten a few people out of there. Now, the only fight he's had against someone currently in the UFC was a very close decision to Jan Blachowicz. Man, OSP, he finished Nikita Krylov with a Von Flue choke. That submission against Ryan Gimo, that was beautiful too. I feel like he's going to catch Jimi Manuwa with something funky here. I really don't know what it's going to be, but I think he's going to take him down. And You know, it's not going to be some textbook jiu-jitsu at all. It's going to be something that you've never seen before and might look a little ugly, but it's still going to win him the fight. So I got OSP here, man. Now, James, when you beat Glaico Franca, OSP headlined the card against John Bones Jones, and he went all 5 with him, man, and now he's making his return here against Jimi Manuwa in England. So who you got?
Yeah, I'm going with OSP too, for the reasons you said. And it's funny, I think we've talked about this before, but like you said about Cowboy Oliveira, same thing with OSP about the freak injuries. You know what? Some guys have that ability. Like they legitimately, like they'll have 10 wins and 3 of them will be by the other guy getting injured. They just have there's guys in the gym. I'm sure, Albert knows this. He's trained with them. I'm sure. Like there's just some guys in the gym that have a freak ability to injure people. And you know as the guy in the gym, you know not to train with him. You know what I'm saying? You know not to train with those dudes. We used to have a guy named Austin that I used to train with, and every time I would train with this dude, this dude legitimately broke a guy's neck in jiu-jitsu class. Legitimately fractured something in his neck, and he had injured so many people, and everyone knew not to roll with him. And he had these hard, dense bones, and it's just, I really think OSP is one of those type of people. He's unorthodox, and his bones are hard and dense, and I think he has an ability to injure people. And I think, like you said, I think he can probably take Jimi Manuwa down relatively easy. Jimmy's probably a cleaner striker. Both of them have big power. Cleaner, more technical, Jimmy probably is, but he hasn't fought the competition that OSP has fought all around as well either. So I'm going with OSP.
Albert Morales?
To me, this is definitely my pick for most excited fight, the one I'm most excited for, because both these guys are coming. I think both of them coming off a loss, pretty good losses too. OSP coming off of John Jones, and I forgot who Manuwa's lost, or what Manuwa's coming off of. But Manuwa's definitely a better striker, I think. OSP is way more unorthodox, but that works for him because he's kind of so big and goofy and lands crazy goofy submissions like that Von flew. He's just strong, so I think it just kind of works with him. He's got this weird style to him. This one's pretty tough for me, man. I think Manuwa's definitely the more technical striker. Him being home, I honestly, I'm just gonna go with it. I think OSP is just gonna be a little bit too much. I think he catches him. I actually think he might knock him out just because of just how weird he is, man. You never know what you're gonna get with that guy. So I guess I'm gonna go with OSP.
Sean Carey, you down with OSP?
I guess I am. You know me. Yeah. As flawed as OSP is, he's probably on a level above Manuwa. He's way more athletic. That range is going to come into play. I think he's going to be too far away for Manuwa to land heavy shots. You got to question, maybe both these guys' gas tanks, but you definitely got to question OSP's gas tank. I think this stays standing mainly. I think it'll be a fun fight, but it's basically going to be OSP long-range body kicks, jumping in with pot shots, then eventually pinning Manuwa to the cage, maybe getting a takedown and working from there. But I want this fight to be exciting, but OSP has a problem pulling the trigger sometimes too. He's going to stay at distance and look to rack up points that way, in my opinion. But OSP for the win.
The co-main event of the evening. This fight's been a long time in the making, ever since back in the Affliction days. Vitor Belfort versus Gegard Mousasi. Gegard's minus 345, and the comeback on Vitor Belfort is plus 285. Now, a few years back, if this was the line, I'd be taking that shot on Vitor all day, but Vitor, he's at the end of his career, but man, he's had an unbelievable career. There's not many guys that you can say have fought in 3 different eras of the sport. I mean, Vitor was knocking out Tank Abbott and Scott Ferozzo back in the day. Then he also competed with Chuck Liddell and Randy Couture. Then he also competed with Luke Rockhold and Chris Weidman. So he's literally been in 3 different eras of the sport. So much respect to Vitor. But man, at this point in time, Gegard Mousasi's in his prime. And obviously, we always got to look out for the Vitor Belfort blitz. I mean, his signature blitz, even at this age, he can put anyone down if he catches them in the right spot. But if he doesn't get that first-round blitz, man, even back in the day, he would break, and I think he'd still break now with later age as well. You saw in that Jacare fight, and credit to Jacare, but why was Vitor Belfort pulling guard in that fight? You know what I mean? And also, he is a he's a Carlson Gracie black belt. In that Chris Weidman fight, he got full mounted, and he's not even bucking off. He's not even pushing off his hips and trying to get a half guard or anything. He just accepted it and got pounded out. Now, that could be due to the fact that Chris Weidman is an absolute monster of a wrestler and grappler and just has unbelievable top control. But when I saw it happen twice, that's when I started to question, why, because this is a dude that he almost armbarred John Jones off his back just a few years back. Now he can't even retain a half guard. So, that's a little sketchy to me. And Mousasi is looking better than ever. He really turned a corner after the Uriah Hall fight. That Talis latest fight. It's interesting because outside of the UFC, he was fucking dudes up. But when it comes to the big show, some dudes, you gotta learn your craft, you gotta figure it out, and I think that's what Mousasi's doing now. He had a couple setbacks along the way, which happens to every great fighter, but now he's really putting it together. That latest fight and that Thiago Santos fight most recently, I think we're seeing someone that's primed for a title shot, and I think in this spot, he's gonna go out there and finish the legend Vitor Belfort. So yeah, I got Gegard Mousasi inside the distance in this spot, and I think it's gonna be a first-round finish due to ground and pound. What do you think, James Vick?
Yeah, I'm a huge Mousasi fan. He's probably one of my top 5 favorite fighters for sure actively fighting, but maybe ever. I just love his style, and I'm a big fan of the Dutch kickboxing in general. And I think that, like you said, you do have to worry about Vitor early with his blitz and his hand speed and power. But Mousasi has a good chin. He's really only been stopped, I believe that one time by Hall as far as getting caught with the strike. Yeah. He has a good chin. He has a good defense. He rolls with punches really well. It's weird. He'll keep his hands down half-assed, but he rolls with the punches real well, and he'll stand flat-footed right in front of the guy and not take a lot of shots. So I think he's going to win. I think that he's more. I think he's at this point he's has a better gas tank. He's more well-rounded or just as well-rounded, and I just think he has more heart. I think that Mousasi's heart's never really been questioned, whereas Vitor's has a few times. So I'm going with Mousasi for sure.
Albert Morales?
First of all, I'm offended whenever I see that fight, between Chris Weidman and Vitor, man, because he is a Carlson Gracie. He was like Carlson Gracie's stepson or adopted son or son-in-law or something like that, man. He kind of, separated. I'm a Carlson Gracie bulldog for life, man, and he kind of let us down there. But on top of that, dude, I hear nothing but bad things about him, anyways. So I never root for him. So yeah, no, dude. My professors know him. Like they said, like, man, it's funny. We talk about his heart all the time. We talk about, he's good. He's got that Vitor flurry. He's got that as soon as things don't go his way, man, he comes into a little ball and wants to get out of there. And it shows in the cage, he gets kind of scared. So, yeah, and Gegard doesn't, dude. It's the complete opposite. Gegard's a freaking warrior, man. I love him. I love his style. I love how, like you said, the Dutch kickboxing style. And I love his ground game, man. He's so well-rounded. It just sucks, like we were spoke about earlier. Like, he had to go through his journey, and now I believe he's set to fight for at least a shot at the belt. I think he deserves it, man. I don't see anybody else, and I root for him all the time. I love his style, and he's just a beast, dude. He can beat you anywhere, and I think Vitor can only beat you. He can beat you anywhere, but he'll beat you in like that little blitz that he has, or a lucky submission. I'm going for a Gegard.
Sean Carey?
Yeah, as long as Vitor's been around, he's always been great. And then even past the TRT stuff and past the steroid stuff, he's actually a little surprising and put up a better fight in a couple spots than we thought. But in that Jacare fight, he just looked like he did not want any of that at all. He pulled guard. He couldn't pull the trigger. The reflexes are not looking there. This could finally be the end. And it's a terrible ending when you got to go up against this, in particular, Gegard Mousasi. He's fucking surgical right now, and he's made of stone. And there's no way that Vitor can take the physical beating that he put on that Mousasi put on latest, but that mental beating, that jab, that super hard jab, it's the most important weapon in MMA and the most underutilized weapon in MMA. That thing can smash your face. It's not just boxing. That jab is fucking deadly. It sets up everything, and it just completely takes everything out of the other guy mentally. He just freezes because he doesn't want to walk into that. And now you've got a guy who froze on his own and pulled guard against somebody who was definitely going to pound him out from there. So now he's got to face that jab. He might have a flurry in him, and even if he hits Mousasi with the flurry, maybe that doesn't do enough. Mousasi, hard jab, leg kicks, takedowns, ground and pound, turtle, stoppage.
I like it, man. The main event of the evening, holy shit, this one's been a long time coming. Michael Bisping's minus 245. The comeback on Dan Hendo is plus 205. Now, obviously, we all got so much respect for both of these guys. But, man, Michael Bisping, I mean, he's so inspirational. You know, this dude's had every setback imaginable. I mean, the Dan Henderson knockout, let's just start with that. You know, that seemed like a career changer. You don't come back from a knockout like that. And it didn't stop there. I mean, he had the setback to Vitor, to Vanderlei, to Chael, to Luke Rockhold, and he still said, I want to be the world champion. He didn't let any of that affect him, and now he's holding that belt, man. So, you know, Michael Bisping, I just got so much respect for that guy. And Dan Hendo, obviously a legend. With Dan Hendo, okay, we got to look out for the big right hand. We've always had to look out for the big right hand, but now he is slowing down. He's 46 years old. The wrestling isn't there anymore, so we don't have to worry about takedowns. We just got to worry about the inside leg kick to set up the big right hand. And, you know, if you watch their first fight, I mean, Bisping isn't even that same guy anymore. You know, he'd circle to Hendo's power hand, and he'd exit the pocket with his chin up in the air and all this shit. That's not the guy we see anymore. The guy we see now, firstly, he was always criticized for having pillow fists. You know, they said he didn't have any knockout power. Well, now he's sitting down on his punches, and in back-to-back fights, he dropped Anderson Silva, and he knocked out Luke Rockhold. So it's kind of funny. Dana White always said, you know, if Michael Bisping had knockout power, he'd be the champion. And Michael Bisping always said, if I were to compete on an even playing field, I'd be the world champion. Well, now he's sitting down on his punches, he's knocking dudes out, and he's on an even playing field, and he's the world champion. So it came true for him, and in this spot, man, he's going to get revenge. You know, he said that he's looking for a left high kick. I know that Vitor was able to land that twice on Hendo, and the reason why is because, I mean, so Hendo, he cocks that right hand, but he really keeps it at around his chin, so basically his jaw, his temple, all that's wide open for the left kick. So I definitely see Michael being able to land that, but hey, if that doesn't land, I see the left hook landing, the same left hook that knocked down Anderson and Luke Rockhold. I mean, if that doesn't work, I see a right hand landing. Bottom line, man, I think Michael's going to get him out of there. And I don't think this fight's going the distance, because if Michael doesn't get him out of there, maybe Dan can land the big H-bomb. You know, it is his last fight. He's got to be motivated. But bottom line, man, you know, I think his last hurrah was against Hector Lombard. I was at that fight, and I mean, dude, it was in LA. The crowd was just going crazy because it was, you know, Hendo's return to California. It was unbelievable. He had a rough first round, and then he came back and he finished Hector Lombard. I thought he should have retired on that note. Not that it's my place to say when a fighter should retire, because it's not. But hey, you got the title shot, and that's badass. Great fight. We're going to get to see Bisping's redemption here. I think Bisping puts him away in the first round via strikes. What do you think, Vic?
Well, this is a tough fight for me. I get, like, you know, I'm a huge Dan Henderson fan. I've watched this dude since really a big fan of his in the Pride days. I was a big Pride fan. I used to, when I remember I lived out in the country and I was real poor and I had no cable, but I had about 30 Pride DVDs. And I would just watch them over and over, the same videos, watch them over and over. And I've seen so many of Dan Henderson's fights, and I love this dude. And then, but I'm a big Bisping fan. I know a lot of people aren't, but it's just like this documentary they put on him the other day that UFC presents, I thought was very good. It's just like, I mean, it's such an inspiration to see someone like that who's just been beat, and not just been beat, been like brutally knocked out multiple times to become a world champion, you know. And he is right. I agree with what he says. You know, he said, if I had an even playing field, it's starting to show. A lot of these little steroid, you know, dudes are starting to look like shriveled up grapes now. And, you know, it's good for us who's been clean the whole time, because it's ridiculous seeing some of these guys like, it's like, I know we always make that joke about Eric Silva. I mean, the dude used to be good. Now he looks like a shriveled up grape every time he fights, you know? And it's crazy to see some of these guys, you know, off the juice. And, Bisping is definitely proved. And I want Dan Henderson to win, though. I do want him to win. I just wouldn't put my money on him. I mean, God, I would be the happiest person alive if he did win, but I do have to go with Bisping. But I so hope Dan Henderson wins.
Yeah, I feel you on that, man, and I went big on Bisping. But, I mean, as a fan, I would smile to see Dan win because it's Dan. But, man, I got to go with Bisping. Who you got, Morales?
I got Bisping all day. 100% biased, but even unbiased. Bisping I just feel like he has another fireman, and I think it's like you said, he's such an inspiration. He's so motivational, man. To come back from a loss that devastating, man. People don't come back from, especially a knockout as bad as that was, man. Especially all the, we seen, what happened to Ronda. You look how long it took her to come back after, talking all that stuff and then, getting beat up the way she did. And then, and the Count, got knocked out, countless times, dude. And that one was just ridiculous, dude. After all the crap he's talking, he's got a lot of balls coming back. And not only did he come back, he came back and did what he said he was going to do. He became a champion, a world champion. I think he believes in destiny. I believe that this is his destiny. I believe that he's going to come out there and knock this dude out. I see it. It's either the Count finishes him, or I don't see Dan having the gassing to go 5 rounds. So and I think the Count does. The Count looks like he's in shape. So I'm going for Bisping all day. I hope he finishes him, but if it goes 3 rounds, I don't see it go past 3 rounds.
Sean Carey, man, the floor is yours, buddy. I know you got a strong opinion on this one.
Yeah, absolutely. There's no more information about any matchup available in the UFC than there is on this fight. Not only have they fought each other before, but one guy's got a fucking 20-year track record. I mean, the other guy's got a 15-year track record. You know everything that you need to know. You've seen the progression of both these guys the whole time. I love both these guys. Hendo, he does look awfully old and rickety, and honestly, he's been getting hurt or knocked out in man, who knows how many fights in a row, maybe 6. But that right hand is not slow, and that right hand can knock anyone out when it lands. And he does have little techniques to set it up, that inside left low kick to that straight right hand. He covers it with the jab, too. Like, he's slick. He's got a deep bag of tricks. He knows everything that there is to know. But the chin is gone. He's super old. He doesn't have the cardio to go 5 rounds. It's going to be a major problem in this fight. The intangibles in this fight, the revenge, the Bisping in England, the title defense, it's just too much. It's a huge hill that this guy has to climb. On the other hand, Bisping seems like he's been getting better over and over and over again. He sits down on his punches. He's more comfortable in the pocket. His footwork is good. He's definitely has the cardio for 5 and always has. And finally some power. So if Perillo's a boxing guy, I think the plan is forget about avoiding that right hand. Let's keep that right hand home. Let's throw left body kicks, left high kicks, and left hooks, and make Henderson keep his right hand home and protect himself from all those shots, and not worry about it coming off. Worry about what you're doing to him. Those shots will mount up. Left hook, get close, stay in the clinch, beat up that body with knees, stay far away, kick him with left body kicks, make him keep his elbow trapped, not throw the right hand. And Henderson's reflexes are not there to see those shots and counter. He's gonna counter 1 out of 3 times maybe, and he's not gonna land. And that volume is gonna pile up and pile up and pile up. And I think you're gonna see kind of a Kung Lee style stoppage maybe around the 3rd round, because I do think Bisping's going to want to put some body shots in the bank and stay a little careful. I don't know. Bisping just too much, man. And in England, he's got to win this, and he's got to win it by knockout. That's the way I see it. But on the other hand, Henderson, he's kind of convinced me now that this is his last fight. And it's probably not the most popular opinion, but I think this probably is his last fight. So he's going to go for it. This is going to be a fun one, but he just doesn't have the reflexes or the chin to deal with this. I think Bisping's going to knock him out probably late 2nd, early 3rd.
We like it, man. Yeah. So you actually think he's going into the second and third. Interesting. Mousasi really showed how you beat this guy because, like you mentioned, his reflexes are a bit slower, and, he loads up on that right hand now. And in that Mousasi fight, it was super telegraphed. As he was leaning back with that right hand, that's when Mousasi caught him with his own right hand and put him down, man. And that was a beautiful counter. I think Bisping could do something similar, man, because he's a really good striker. He's very underrated. And
you've got to make him keep it home. You know what I'm saying? You've got to make him keep that right hand home to protect himself. So you got to keep throwing on that side. That's what I think. Then you can get in the clinch and throw knees, or then you can go left and throw that same shot that he hit Rockhold with. Something like that. But keep throwing on that side. He'll keep it home. He won't throw it.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that's definitely good for sure. Thinking about maybe keeping your hand up, take it, and then fire back with straights, and then like a straight left, and then fire back whatever the hell you want. Because I like to fire off of hooks, straight right. So maybe off that overhand, you just take it, eat it, with your hand up, and just get ready to fire back. But keeping it up is a way better idea, man. Just not even take anything, man. That's a great idea.
We got to talk about the fight to watch and the fighter to watch. So, first up, the fight to watch for UFC 204. Sean Carey, what is it, man?
Oh, it's got to be Bisping versus Hendo. I mean, this, honestly, despite my breakdown of this fight, doesn't it seem like with the way that this fucking story has gone and the way that Bisping got the title, wouldn't it be the most UFC thing ever for Hendo to come in and knock Bisping out again brutally in England? Isn't that the crazy way that these stories end? You know what I mean? Wouldn't that be fucking spectacular? I don't want that to happen. I'd rather have Bisping win, but damn, that is the kind of shit that happens. So this fight, whatever you say about, him not deserving it, and he kind of does deserve it, man. He's been entertaining us and fighting his guts out for fucking ever. If anybody deserves it, it's him. And if anybody deserves to hold that title and defend it in England, it's Bisping. This is a great fight. Just have fun with it. Don't worry about who deserves it. Mousasi's the guy who comes in and takes the belt and holds it anyway, so they're both screwed. But, yeah, this is the fight. This is fun, man. It's fun.
James Vick, what's the fight to watch besides the main event, man?
Yeah, I want to see Mousasi Vitor. I like I said, I'm a huge Mousasi fan, and he's never in a boring fight. I mean, he if people don't press him, he might, because he can literally beat people with just a jab. But I think that really the only boring fight I've ever really watched of his was the Latifi fight, and that was just because Latifi took the fight on short notice and wouldn't commit to him. But I think stylistically, matchup-wise, I'm always a Mousasi fan. I think it's a good matchup. It could be fireworks. I think Mousasi's going to slowly creep forward, and Vitor's going to try to counter and then blitz. And I think that's a fight for me to watch.
Albert Morales, the fight to watch, man.
Fight to watch for me, other than the main event, is going to be Iuri versus One Punch. I'm just excited to see two legends go at it, and pick their brains apart, see how they're going to go at it, and I just know how it's going to go. I know these guys are going to come out swinging and flying and stuff, and I'm just excited for it. It's going to be a good night. It's definitely going to be. I'm hoping it's going to be fight of the night.
My fight to watch is Albert Tumenov versus Leon Edwards. I mean, it's striker versus striker, like we already said. No matter the outcome, it's going to be a very exciting fight, and I'm curious to see how Albert rebounds from that setback to Gunnar Nelson, because when great fighters take setbacks, they come back hungrier. That's just the bottom line. I think Tumenov's a great fighter, so I expect him to come back hungrier. And Leon's no slouch at all. So that's my fight to watch. Now we got to talk about the fighter to watch. So Sean Carey Tattoo, who is the fighter to watch for UFC 204, man?
It's Mousasi. It's Mousasi putting Vitor into retirement with this fight. After this, this is a foggy title picture in this division. It's about to get a lot less foggy because you're not going to be able to say that Mousasi doesn't deserve it with his resume and everything that he's done, despite the one Uriah Hall setback. He looks better than ever. He's talking more. He's meaner. He's more aggressive. He's got all the tools. He can beat anyone in the division in almost any way. You have to give it to him, and after he looks super impressive this time out, it's going to be hard to deny that. I see him talking back and forth with Brunson In my opinion, he's past Brunson. He needs title shot next or one more guy, then title shot next. Mousasi looking super good Saturday night.
James Vick, the fighter to watch, man.
Musasi, that's what I'm tuning in the whole card just to watch him. Yeah, he like he was just said. He wins this fight. I think he's going to turn around and he's what is Vitor ranked? Vitor's ranked 5th, right?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. After this, he's going to get one more win, and then and then he will have he'll be in good line for a title shot. He beats Vitor, the number 5th ranked guy, and then the sky's the limit for him after he wins one more fight after that. I mean, those top guys are very rough for him. As good as he is, obviously to me, Yoel's probably the hardest thing for him to beat just from a style standpoint. I think Mousasi could do. Obviously, I think Mousasi would beat Bisping if he fought him. But styles make fights, but I'm definitely excited to see Mousasi.
Albert Morales, who's the fighter to watch for UFC 204?
The fighter to watch for a performance has got to be, either Michael Bisping or Hendo. But the fighter I'm excited to watch, or I'm intrigued to watch, is going to be Leon Edwards to see how he deals with the pressure. Even though I am going for Albert, I just want to see if he can figure it out. So that's who I'm excited to watch.
Definitely. And now, my fighter to watch is Mirsad Bektic. Look, a lot of people are touting this kid to be a future world champion. I want to find out firsthand. And, I mean, he's coming off an ACL surgery, as we mentioned. He's taking on a short-notice opponent. I want to see how he deals with this kind of pressure in this spot, opening up the pay-per-view for a big card like UFC 204. My eyes will definitely be on Mirsad Bektic in this spot. I'm curious to see how he performs. Now, guys, I want to thank you so much for taking the time to speak with me right here, right now on Half the Battle. It's been a pleasure. This was the 100th episode of Half the Battle. Holy shit. Here's to a couple hundred more. James Vick, first fighter I ever had on Half the Battle. Now you're with me 100 episodes deep. I appreciate it, my man. Let the audience know what's up, man.
What's up, guys? I am currently nursing some injuries. It's crazy. It's a weird injury. It's an elbow injury, and it's really like severe chronic tendonitis, like the golfer's pitcher's elbow. It's probably like the worst case you've ever seen in your life. It's weird because there's some things I can do and I can go hard, but I can't grapple very much, hardly ever. And really, I haven't grappled much. Only drilled in the last months, but I can strike. I can, obviously kick, and that doesn't affect the elbow. But I'm nursing these injuries up, and then next month I'm going to go to Thailand and train at Phuket Top Team for 2.5 weeks, and then hopefully know something by the end of the year what type of opponent and date. I'm hoping the UFC comes back to Dallas, Texas, maybe like in February or March, like they had the last few years, and I can fight at home. That's what I'm hoping on, guys.
Awesome, man. Definitely going to be tuning in for the Texecutioner's return, and have fun in Thailand, man. That's going to be real badass.
Yeah, I've never been before, so I got hooked up. It's a perk of being in the UFC is really all I had to do is pay for my plane ticket, and now I'm going to get over there, and everything else will be free for me. And it's so cheap over there as it is. I'm excited. I've never been there, so I hear it's great.
Watch out for those lady boys.
Lady boys.
Albert Morales, man, thanks again for the time, brother. Let the audience know where to follow you and anything else you got coming up, man.
You guys can follow me on Twitter, Instagram. It's AlWarrior135 US or Warrior135 UFC. It's the same all around. You guys can follow me on Snapchat and check that out. I do a bunch of crazy stuff. I just moved into my new spot. Although I know I got whatever happened during that fight, I still made a little bit of money, so I was able to get out the gym and get a spot. So I'm super thankful for that. As far as fights, you guys shout out on Twitter, say who you want me to fight, and I'll repost them, and hopefully Uncle Dana checks it out, man, because we all know the Warrior comes to the fight. So I'm just ready to come out there and just keep beating the crap out of these dudes. Hopefully they actually fight me instead of run away. James, I got something for your elbow, dude. I tend to just pucker my lips and give you a kiss on the elbow, and for some reason, dude, it goes away. It's my mom.
At this point, I'll do anything.
All right. No. Yeah, you guys can just follow me and just look out. Just retweet whoever you guys want me to fight. Oh, that Cisco Rivera fight probably won't happen just because of the fact that he's like my manager's. He's one of my manager's favorite guys, and I'm one of my manager's favorite guys, so that's probably not going to happen. But keep shouting him out, man, because we're both badasses, and we'll probably cry to our manager and beg him to let us fight. So we'll see what's up.
Hey.
Thank you guys for having me on the show, and happy birthday to the show.
Thanks, man. We still want to see you fight Anthony Burchak, man. I'm going to campaign for that one.
Oh, we all know that one. That's
a good
going to
one.
happen for sure.
Yeah.
That's going to happen for sure, man. And he's with it. I'm with it. That's going to be fireworks for sure. We're coming for that fight bonus money, and we're coming to, we both got one thing in mind, and that's the title. So that's it.
Also, I know I've been on the show several times, but my Twitter and Facebook and Instagram and all that is James Vick MMA, if anyone doesn't know. All right.
Yes, sir. James, thanks again, brother.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
You got it, man. Peace out, Albert. All right, Sean Carey, is it me and you now?
Yeah, it is.
Leading off the card, we got the newcomer, Mark Diakiese. How do you pronounce this guy's last name, dude? Do you know? Diakiese?
I thought it was Diakiese, yeah.
Okay,
but that's a toughie.
Mark Diakiese, he's minus 225, and the comeback on Lukasz Sajewski is plus 185. Now, Mark Diakiese is no slouch at all, man. I mean, he's a good British striker. He can knock dudes out. He's athletic, and obviously I was wondering how his grappling is, and then I saw some videos of him suplexing dudes, so he's not half bad there either. I haven't really seen him off his back, so I don't know how he is, but he is undefeated. So, I mean, I'd assume he can handle himself against a guy like Sajewski. Sajewski, he's tough, he's durable, but, man, this is on a week short notice. I wonder what kind of shape he was in when he got the call. It could be the classic letdown spot because, man, Reza Madadi was a really good matchup for Diakiese, in my opinion. I thought Mark was going to go out there and finish Reza. And he might finish Lukasz Sajewski as well, but I think it's a bit of a tougher matchup. I just don't know what kind of shape Sajewski's in. But I'm going to go with the newcomer here, man. I'm going to go via stoppage as well. What do you think?
Oh, yeah, he looks to have the goods, but we've been in this spot so many times, especially with a British dude. You can't really tell, you know what I'm saying? But he's got all these big, explosive, powerful moves, which are great, but those guys are usually front runners and they fall apart. But this fucking guy, we've seen him go rounds, you know what I'm saying? Like, he doesn't give up. He doesn't seem to change too much as the fight goes on. He doesn't seem to weaken. And then, what about the grappling? Well, we've seen the grappling too. He's super athletic. He's explosive. He looks pretty goddamn good. But, it's that thing. Who has he really fought? This is his debut. Bright UFC lights. Who knows? He's got a way better matchup than he did. And this, in my opinion, Sajewski just keeps on just faltering and just making terrible mistakes in there and looking goofy over and over again. The things that he was supposed to be good at, he just doesn't seem to be too good at it. The Hind fight was a big eye opener because he looked lost out there for certain parts of this fight. So if he's going to go out there and look lost like that, I expect this new guy to knock the shit out of him and probably finish him. But if he can put it together, he can grab his back, he can backpack him for a little while, get top control, stay there for a while. Who knows what Diakiese's sub-defense is like. It's a debut fight. This guy looks to have the goods. I'll sit back and watch and see what happens.
And finally, in the bantamweight division, we got Davey Grant. He's minus 185, and the comeback on Damien Stasiak is plus 160. Now, listen, I'll just go ahead and say this. If Mark Goddard is reffing this fight, then go ahead and bet the house on Davey Grant because clearly Mark Goddard is Davey Grant's biggest fan. And if you don't know what I mean, go back and watch Davey Grant versus Chito Vera. Yes, Davey Grant did win that fight, but it's pretty. He had a little bit of help from the ref. Let's just put it like that. Now with Stasiak, I mean, he's no slouch on the ground, man. I mean, you take this guy down, and then all of a sudden he's attacking with omoplatas. You give up your back, and he'll happily take it, get both hooks in, and choke you out. So Stasiak's no slouch on the ground, but I think that Davey Grant is a lot bigger than him. I know. He's got the size for sure. And, man, I mean, Davey's been impressive. Even back on Tough, he was known for his hands, but then that last fight with Chito, he showed off that he can grapple as well. And with this fight being in the UK and the help of Mark Goddard, I got Davey Grant winning the 30-27 here, man.
I've got Grant too, but this fight to me, as far as being confident about Davey Grant, is the biggest head scratcher that I've heard people. I like Davey Grant this much, and I don't see it. Like, with this sport's fucking crazy, and with this layoff and these injuries and what we've actually seen from these guys, you can confidently tell me that Stasiak isn't a better grappler than Grant, or Grant is a better grappler than Stasiak. Who the fuck? Nobody knows. And even at this point, is he injured? You know what I'm saying? Like, what's that layoff like? Who knows? Like, neither of these guys has shown me anything, really. They're kind of similar in a lot of ways. I don't see any huge discernible difference. That doesn't mean Grant won't go out there and finish him, but don't be surprised if this is super competitive and Stasiak can keep control of Grant. I wouldn't be surprised at all, because who really knows at this point? So, let's find out. And then if Grant can stay uninjured and stick around, maybe we can see him progress. But at this point, it's just it's just kind of a middling guy against a guy coming off a huge layoff who didn't show much before that. It's kind of unbettable in a way. But yeah, sure, Grant.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised either, motherfuckers. Now, Sean, man, thanks for taking the time to speak with me, bro. 100th episode of Half the Battle. I appreciate it, my man.
Yay.
Let the audience know where to follow you. And I hear that this weekend you got your biggest bet in your betting career history.
Yeah, it's double my previous highest bet. So, I've been working on this one for a couple months, setting it up and staring at this the whole time before the line even came out, and then been just racking up on that line since it came out over and over and over again. Yeah, so big balls on this one. Hopefully that fucking goes well. But I'm Sean Carey Tattoo on Twitter and Instagram if you want to actually see my, tattoos, but who would want to do that? But yeah, hop on. Now is big win this weekend. Big win. At least a 12-unit weekend this weekend.
Yeah, man, I can't wait to
Let's
see
go.
you. I can't wait to see you win, man. I can't wait to see myself win, and I can't wait to see all the listeners of Half the Battle win as well, man. So yeah, definitely check out Sean's bets, man, because like he said, his biggest bet in the history of his betting career, and this isn't a guy that fucks around or plays games. So yeah, definitely take a gander there, because I believe we're all gonna cash this weekend, man. So thanks again for the time, Sean. For all the fans, old school and new, thank you guys so much. All the support means the world to me. Follow me on Twitter at BestFightPicks. Go to bestfightpicks.com for my plays. Half the Battle can be found on iTunes, SoundCloud, and YouTube. Until the next time, let's cash these bets. Rest in peace, Josh Saman. And thank you guys again for sticking with me for 100 episodes. Here's to 100 more. Here's to 1,000 more. Thank you guys. Peace.
My mama was raised in the era when clean water was only served to the fairest skin. Doing clothes you would've thought I had help, but they wasn't satisfied unless I picked the cotton myself. You see it's broken, erase some nest that don't touch anything in the stove. And it's written, erase some nest that come in, please buy more. What you want, a Bentley, fur coat, a diamond chain? All you blacks want all the same thing. Used to only be now everybody playing, spending everything on Alexander Wang, new slaves. You see his leaders and his followers, but I'd rather be a prick than a swallower. You see his leaders and his followers.